Hej och välkommen! Herzlich willkommen zu einem Online-Gespräch mit dem norwegischen Regisseur Dag Johan Haugerud über seinen Film Beware of Children oder wie er auf Norwegisch heißt, Barn, Kinder. Der Film feierte im vergangenen Jahr in Venedig Premiere und hat seitdem in Skandinavien abgeräumt. Auf Göteborgs Filmfestival erhielt er unter anderem einen Draken für den besten nordischen Film. Beim internationalen Filmfestival in Haugesund gewann er nicht minder als 9 Amandas. Das ist der wichtigste nationale norwegische Filmpreis. Darunter für den besten Film, die beste Regie, bestes Drehbuch. Und jetzt vor wenigen Tagen gewann er den renommierten Filmpreis des Nordischen Rates, the Nordic Council Film Prize. Ett stort grattis! Varmt välkommen Dag Johan Haugerud. Nice to have you here. Varmt välkommen då Dag Johan Haugerud. Det är fint att ha dig här och grattis till alla priser du har fått med den här fantastiska filmen Beware of Children.
Tack.
I must say I really liked your film a lot because it made me cry and laugh at the same time, and I think there's so many different aspects in it that could be discussed. But you have claimed that for you the most important thing was that you wanted to make a film about how people communicate, how we talk to each other. And I wonder what fascinates you about human communication?
I think it's of course it's what we do. It's our everyday life is communication. That's what we are doing all the time with our friends, our neighbors, our family, and our working colleagues. So it's so essential to who we are as human beings, the way we communicate, the way we try to contact other people, and where we want other people to see ourselves. So it's a way of presenting ourselves, and it's always a way to building society, because you do that through the communication. So I think that Barn is probably, or Beware of Children, is meant to be a kind of glimpse of a society as I am observing it. Yeah, so a Norwegian society today. And I like to try to observe that through the way people are communicating.
And you just said the way we present ourselves, because that was something I was thinking of too, that it's a lot this thing, I want to please someone else, like Jamie wants to please Anders, Liv wants to please her family because she doesn't want to tell them that she's together with a right-wing guy, that she's got a love story with him. And so do you think this will to please and this need to fit in would also be something that builds a society? Is that an important thing to a community?
And I don't think it's a bad thing either, because sometimes you hear that people say that, or other people, that they are eager to please and they are too pleasing in a way, and they are not taking enough care of themselves. They are just, trying to please other people. But I think that's, of course, it can be too much. But I think essentially it's a good thing, because that's, that's how you get through life, really. To try to blend in with other people, or try to get things working. And if you are going to get things working, if you are in a society with many people, you have to be considerate and to listen to other people, and to try to make yourself acceptable also, in a way. So it's of course a balance there, because you can't, you have to be yourself as well. So you have to try to be free in who you are. But I think, I don't think it's so obvious who you are either. So that's something you are trying to figure out throughout your life. So it's a case between trying to be what other people want you to be and try to be who you maybe feel you are.
I was very impressed about the characters also, how they were introduced, how they struggled with their feelings of guilt and responsibility, and how you sort of develop a great empathy for all these insecure souls. And I know you're not only a director, but you are also a writer of novels. And I would like to know, how did you develop and create these characters? And did you have these wonderful actors in mind while you wrote the script?
Yeah, some of them I did, because I have been working with some of them before. So, and it's a good working relationship, so I wanted to continue that. So I wrote some of the characters for this particular actors. But the way I develop characters, I don't think it's so different from other writers. But I always try to give every character a chance to present themselves as from as many sides as possible, to become whole characters in a way. That's not always easy, because the first thing when you are writing, you are only writing cliches really, because you tend to write the first thing that comes to your mind, and that's almost always a cliche. So you have to, go through it over and over again and try to mold the characters and try to show different sides of them, so they become complex individuals.
I thought sometimes it was so authentical how they played that it almost seemed like they were improvising, but they're not, right? It's a script. In the beginning of the film, I was a little bit confused, I must admit, because I didn't understand who's related to whom. Why is the headmaster Liv having dinner with the teacher Anders, and so on. Also, the girl that causes the death of her classmate is called by 3 different names. She's Anna, she's Nathalie, she's Lykke. And I asked myself if you did this on purpose because you wanted me to feel as confused as the characters are, or was that your intention?
My intention wasn't to confuse you, not at all. But maybe my intention was to make you discover something, by and by. So you don't see the whole picture in the beginning, but you discover the film in a way. You discover the relations, you discover who are who, and then you kind of putting the pieces together in your mind, hopefully. That was what I was intending to do, because sometimes I can get kind of bored. Bored is not a good word, but I use it anyway. I can get a bit bored when things are too obvious, because I like really to discover things myself and to be a part of the telling in a way.
And talking about discoveries, this ideological embrace in the film, as you call it, the love of, it's not a love affair, it's a real love story. It's a real love thing between Liv, the headmaster, that is more from a greenish social democratic milieu, with her, with this right-wing heavy politician guy who really wants the girl to be punished that killed his son. And I wonder, why did you bring this political aspect into the film?
In the beginning, I thought that maybe it's a bit too tabloid because it's so obvious, really, that it's it's a very good pitch for a film, like a girl from a left-wing family kills a boy from the right-wing family. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story almost.
Okay.
But what I really wanted to do was to try to go behind the preconceptions we have of people that have different political values as ourselves, because I tend to think that I, in a way, understand. I'm not a right-wing person myself, but I try to think that I know how right-wing people are thinking in their everyday life, in their in their private life, and of course I don't know that. I'm almost certainly wrong about that. So I try to bring forward some nuances maybe, and some I have maybe the idea that if we don't go about and have too much preconceptions of other people, it would be easier to try to communicate and to get the always to get further in the political conversation as well, as I think it's we need to do that.
So you think this love story is actually possible between two so different characters?
That's very interesting, because I have talked to many of my friends, and I've talked to many of the people who have seen the films, and some say that of course that must be possible. Other people say that it would never been possible. I could never been together with a man from a right-wing party. But people are very different. Some think that relationship gives some kind of hope. Some other people think that it's very, very sad.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some formal aspects and why you chose them, because for me the movie starts out almost like a horror film with this psychedelic drone camera swaying all over the catastrophe, and it continues more like this documentary style with this static camera position with these long takes. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's what we really was trying to do was to create a film that has its own time in a way. So it was meant to be a film that doesn't really relate so much to the clock time, that you almost always feel when you are watching a movie, you feel, you know, inside somewhere that now it's have gone 50 minutes, now it has gone, an hour has passed, and so on. So, but sometimes I see films and I totally forget where I am, or I don't forget where I am, but I don't feel the time in the outside world so much. So that's a very big ambition to try to create that, but that's what we were trying to do, and I'm not sure that we succeeded, but anyway, that was our ambition. And then the way we are filming it and the way the scenes are set up is quite related to creating that kind of time, really. And it's also the way we use the sound and the music. You say that the music in the beginning makes you feel it's like kind of a horror music, but it's music that is put together by all natural sounds from the environment that are just, you know, computerized and made them bigger, of course, and maybe it doesn't sound like natural sounds, but that's the concrete music that you hear there. So all the sounds that you hear relates to something in the film, or are taken from different scenes in the film. Yeah. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, you, in a way you did, but I would like to ask a little bit more about this this documentary feeling that, now my camera dropped, but it doesn't matter because I see you, and that's the main thing.
Okay.
The documentary style you have in the film. Sometimes there are like small disturbances, like small irritations, like this fruit or melon that rolls down the street, or there's a door that has to be closed, or a candy that has to be chewed in the middle of the dialogue. Why did you use these disturbances?
It's probably because I think that's how life is, that there are things that are happening all the time, you know, in everyday life, small disturbances or distractions. And I think that by putting those things in the film, it makes it less, it makes it more natural and more realistic. And realistic doesn't always have to be, you know, a good thing, really, because film isn't realism anyway. But I think it makes you maybe look a bit harder because you are not used to see those things so much. So when they just turn up, it makes you focus more, maybe, perhaps. That's how those things feel for me when I see those things in films. That you know, I observe differently in a way.
Okay. So another aspect in your film is the relation between adults and children. And I sort of recognize myself and many others that I know, other people that I know, in Anders, who says, I don't really feel like being an adult. I don't really feel I can take this responsibility. What are your reflections on that?
I think that for most people, childhood means that you really want to, or during your childhood, you really want to be a grown-up, an adult. That's your main goal in a way. You want to have a responsibility for yourself, and you know, young people or children or teenagers, they always say that I can take responsibility for myself. I'm big enough, or grown up enough. But then when you are an adult and you got that responsibility, you suddenly don't want to have it anymore because it weighs a bit too heavy on you. Yeah. And you can really feel, wow, I have to have this responsibility in life. It's too much, really. And I think you all often see it in relationships, you know, that you are supposed to have some kind of responsibility for each other, but it's really hard to take that. And that's probably what causes many relationships to end as well, because, you know, it's hard to have that responsibility. So I think that in a way, the film is a bit about what is defining childhood and what is defining adulthood as well. And I think maybe responsibility is the key word there, because young people can be quite responsibility, and then they also are adult in a way, I think. Whereas old people who don't want to take any responsibility are kids all their life.
Yeah. Okay, so we have really a lot of different aspects in this film. And just one small question I have left. Where did you take the story from? I mean, why did a boy have to die for all these stories, or for all these aspects?
That part of the story is quite autobiographical, because a similar accident happened at my school when I was a child. So I was an observer to a similar accident, and I've always been thinking about that, of course, because it was a big thing that happened in the school. But I also always been thinking about that it's a good start for a story, really, because it's very dramatic, and it gets a lot of different consequences. And so it's a very good starting point for telling a lot of things and to try to reflect on different sides of people.
So I hope very much I'll see you next year live in Lübeck. With what film are we going to see then?
Next year?
Yes. What's your next project? What are you working on?
I am working on a project now, but I can't talk so very much about it. I'm sorry. But if we get funding to make it, it will be with many of the same actors. I can say that.
But not the same characters.
Not the same characters, not at all. Okay. No, it was a different story.
So then I thank you very much, Dag Johan Haugerud, for being in your film, Beware of Children. Und ich danke auch euch, liebes Filmpublikum, dass ihr zugeschaut habt und genießt noch das Wohnzimmerscreening der 62. Nordischen Filmtage. Der große Vorteil ist ja, dass man online viel mehr Filme schafft. Tschüss, hej då.